So, Arc 3.0 is a couple of weeks away. I thought this would be a good time to cover exotics you should try to save or acquire before we get to that season, so you can be ready for various reasons. So we're going to cover all the exotic armor for each class today, as well as we'll be covering weapons to get for Arc 3.0 and mods to look out for Arc 3.0 in separate videos, because I don't want to make this like 2 hours long. So for today, we're going to start with armor. If you want to see the other topics on weapons and mods, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Ding! Thank you. Alright, time to stop selling out and to get ready for the video. Let's start with hunters first. First up on the list is Mask of BAKRIS. So Mask of BAKRIS, technically speaking, isn't a arc-specific exotic. It's actually a stasis exotic. However, it does tie in with arc affinity. So on Mask of BAKRIS, you can see the second part of the effect is, after shifting, your arc weapons deal increased damage to combatants for a short time, and you deal increased damage to all slowed over frozen combatants. So, arc weapons being the key here, Mask of BAKRIS could be a great exotic going into Arc 3.0, depending on the weapons we get, as well as any new perks that Bungie puts into the game, you know, with fragments and aspects and all that good stuff. So, Mask of BAKRIS, I think, can be a sleeper pick for hunters going into 3.0. Next up is Liar's Handshake. This exotic has actually been in the game for quite a while, and it's always found a way to creep back into the meta, or at least be part of something like a good raid boss meme kill. So this exotic states, using your arc melee ability by being hit or getting a melee attack will allow you to follow up with an extremely powerful melee counterpunch that will heal you. So not only does it heal you, but it also does a massive ton of damage. This synergizes very well with Top Tree Arc Strider, in specific with Combination Blow, which says, kill an enemy with a melee ability to trigger health regeneration and increase your melee damage temporarily, stacks up to 3 times. So this is not quite as strong as Roaring Flames on Titans, however it can still put out massive damage, and you can stack this with 1-2 punch shotguns. Now we've got Raiden FLUX. Now Raiden FLUX isn't exactly a meta top choice in the game currently, although it's not a terrible exotic in its own right. It does pretty decent damage when you use Arc Staff. It also increases its duration and its damage, so it's pretty good overall as a base exotic. Obviously, Arc Staff isn't exactly what I'd call PvE endgame content, but again, depending what they do with Arc 3.0, whether they change supers and whether the fragments and aspects make the super better, we don't know, but this could be a sleeper pick as well for that. Now, here are some sleeper picks that I thought I'd mention to maybe have Bungie update them, patch them up a little bit, maybe just overhaul perks entirely. They kind of did something similar with Skyburner's Oath, where they added Scorch to the weapon and actually made it really, really good and usable in endgame content, so maybe they'll do the same to some armor. So Shinobu's Vow is the first one on this list. Outside of being an annoyance in PvP with just unlimited skip grenades in that Valentine's Day mode, this exotic really doesn't get used all that much, and in PvE it's just borderline useless. You have so many better options. Maybe Bungie will update this to have the skip grenades have some sort of additional effect, maybe like a disorient type of thing for PvE enemies, who knows. I thought I'd mention it anyway just in case. Moving on into now Lucky Raspberry. So it's kind of in the same boat. It involves a grenade perk, increases the chaining capabilities of Arc Ball Grenade, and has a chance to recharge it each time it deals damage. A full chain always recharges. So this is kind of in the same boat of maybe Bungie will introduce some sort of perk that can chain and disorient or do some sort of debuff on enemies based on the amount of targets you hit with a grenade. So again, I'd mention Lucky Raspberry as a sleeper pick for something getting updated change like that. Then we've got a new exotic, actually, in Blight Ranger. This one just fell kind of flat out the gate. I'm sure Bungie's aware of it. It's not really doing anything in the game at all, anywhere, PvP or PvE. So it attacks, attacks that you redirect with your Arc Staff, deal massively increased damage, and generate Orbs of Power for your allies. Honestly, like, what are the chances you would pull this off in PvP? And in PvE, why would you ever save up a super to pop just a block for your teammates and generate some orbs? You can just, you know, pop a bubble or a Sentinel Shield for that. So, kind of no use currently in the game. This might get a overhaul for this entirely. We'll see. And then one more pick. This isn't anything I would expect to change, but who knows? You never know with Bungie. RAIJU'S Harness. I don't think there's been a single use for this thing in the game other than an exploit that somebody did, which Bungie shut down almost immediately and fixed. So, for those that don't know, holding your super button, deactivate Whirlwind Guard early. Guarding does not consume extra super energy. Again, blocking, I don't see the concept in blocking with Arc Staff, at least not currently in the game. Maybe Arc 3.0 will change that, who knows, but until then, don't really see anything worth using this on. Maybe they'll change this perk or overhaul it entirely, or maybe it will somehow become good with this perk, who knows. Now we're going to move on to Warlocks. Alright, coming out the gate hot, GEOMAG Stabilizers. I'm sure anybody that's played Chaos Reach knows the story with these exotics. This used to be one of the most busted arc exotics in the game, to the point where Bungie had to just change its perk entirely. It used to be where you would gain 75% of your super, and then just literally run into a wall to top off the last 20% or so of your super, gaining your Chaos Reach much, much faster than a player that would not be using these boots, and faster than basically any other class or exotic in the game. And the worst part is, you could get your super, use it, get like 3 kills, cancel, still have half your super back, and then just get 25% after that, and once again, run into a wall, top off, rinse, repeat. They were pretty oppressive in PvP, and the perks got changed on this entirely, unfortunately, and now it's not so great. I think this is a good candidate to just get overhauled to do something good in PvE without, you know, raining chaos in PvP and making Chaos Reach something viable going into Arc 3.0. So if you have a good pair of GeoMags, I'd say dust them and take them out of the vault for Arc 3.0, or at least get a pair if you don't already have one, just in case. So Stag is an interesting topic. This, I think, has a very high potential to be one of the best Arc exotics going into next season, because its synergy with just Arc plus Rifting goes so well together. For those of you that don't know, Stag says, your Rift provides damage reduction to allied guardians standing in it, grants Rift energy when you are critically wounded, and on your death, create a healing Rift on your corpse. So without even going into Arc 3.0, Stag has a utility that gives you damage reduction, gives you a Rift when you die, and grants Rift energy when you're critically wounded, which, you know, is a pretty common occurrence in Destiny 2, the video game. Now, going into Arc 3.0, if we get something crazy like, let's say, Arc Buddies become a aspect in the game, and you can use Arc Buddies with other exotics outside of something like Getaway Artist, which we'll get to. Imagine having a Stag Rift proccing with your Arc Buddies non-stop, giving you damage reduction, giving you damage, and then giving your Rift energy back. And if you happen to die, you also give your teammates a Rift, which would, again, give more Arc Buddies. I think that'd be pretty sick, and in combination with new stuff, who knows? This could be the best Arc exotic in the game going forward. We'll see. So you may have noticed I just mentioned Getaway Artist. This exotic is basically Arc Buddies, the video game. Now, going forward, if Bungie happens to make Arc Buddies a fragment, whether it's for Warlocks or all classes, they might change this exotic entirely to say something different, or maybe you just stack it together to make your Arc Buddies go like full Super Saiyan. For those of you that don't know, with Getaway Artist, you can convert your Arc Grenade by holding your grenade button into a supercharged Arc Soul, and functions as an autonomous turret. I feel like I'm watching Dragon Ball Super suddenly. But this is a pretty good exotic, or at least fun in PvE to use currently. It's not game-breaking or meta. You know, it's not like a Starfire Protocol Fusion Grenade spam abusal exotic. But it's fun, and who knows, in the future it could become a very good damage dealer, depending direction Bungie takes Arc with. Next is Eye of Another World. This exotic has actually gotten pretty good use in the past, most recently with Shadebinder and combining Rifting and turreting and spamming stasis everywhere you can go to get your abilities back. In Arc 3.0, it could also help, depending what they do with Warlock abilities for that. For those of you that don't know, highlights priority targets, we don't care about that, and improves the regeneration speed of your grenade, melee, and Rift abilities, provides a small benefit to the airborne, blah, 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 we don't care about airborne. So the part there is regeneration speed of your grenade, melee, and Rift abilities. That alone, depending what they do, can be huge to cycle out your abilities in and out. Think kind of like Solar 3.0, where you can cycle your Radiant melee into a grenade for ignition or scorch, and then your Rift providing you extra damage. Something along that. So if you have a good Eye of Another World, definitely be ready to try it out. Or if you don't, go get one. Nezarec Sin, quite possibly the most slept-on exotic in the history of Destiny. This exotic plainly states, void damage kills increased ability energy recharge rate. I cannot tell you the amount of times people said, why are you wearing Nezarec Sin when you're not playing on Void? Because most people think you need to play the Void subclass in order to get this benefit. This is incorrect. As long as you are using void weapons, you can still get the benefits of this helmet on, and it synergizes pretty well with, oh, I don't know, how about Funnel Web or Falling Guillotine? Does that ring a bell? You know, just one of the best swords and heavy weapons in the history of this video game. Yeah, this exotic can stack with that and provide you energy or ability to recharge raid. So this exotic is very useful. Definitely be ready to use this going into Arc 3.0. Crown of Tempest. Currently probably the best Arc-related exotic in the game for Stormcaller right now. It is fantastic in PvE ad wave killing. It's great in PvP, despite, you know, Lord of Wolves, Omni, all that existing. This exotic just allows you to pop Storm Trance, and then based on the amount of kills you get, you can still extend the duration of Storm Trance with that. Pretty fun to use. You can blink around, you can zap people, and then scream you up, unlimited power! Star Wars joke, yeah, I know, low-hanging fruit. So this exotic is definitely worth saving going into Arc 3.0. Absolutely top tier in terms of just super ability wave clearing. The last two here for Warlocks are kind of just sleeper picks, something I thought maybe could have use going forward. Starting with Stormdancer's Brace. Each target you defeat with Storm Trance increases the damage you deal with it and refunds super energy when Storm Trance ends. Now, it's not a terrible perk in its own right now, it just doesn't fit anywhere in the game, but depending how they introduce fragments and aspects, this could be a usable exotic going forward, in case somebody out there has this waiting to use it for something. And then the other one would be the old Vesper of Radius that people used to find stupid stuff to do with rifts all the time. I'm sure it'll creep back into the Arc 3.0, I wouldn't say meta, but the scene for it at least. So for people that don't know, it says Rift release, or releases a Arc Shockwave. When cast, Rift energy recharges faster when you are surrounded by enemies. So essentially, you just want to pop it when you're near enemies. You get a shockwave, boom, and then your recharge rate goes up. Not exactly the safest strategy to use, but who knows? Classy Restoration was released this season, so who knows what they can release as an Arc artifact going into next season to make it nuts. Alright, Titans, I'm going to be honest with you. You guys don't have much to talk about. Just being honest. So let's get the elephant out of the room right away. Yes, CUIRASS the Falling Star is one of the best exotics in the game right now. And it's definitely the top talking point in terms of Arc Titans in the game right now. It does stupid damage, higher than Celestial Nighthawk for Hunters. And, I mean, that's about it. That's mostly what Titans have going for them right now. Their Arc choices are really lacking. I have a couple of things to talk about, but nothing too groundbreaking, so let's get to it. Outside of Falling Star, you've got Insurmountable SKULLFORT. Believe it or not, this used to be the best Titan exotic in the game way back in D2's infancy. I know, it seems silly to say now, but it really was. So, to give a fresh reminder to people, kills with Arc melee abilities trigger health regeneration and restore melee energy. Basically, what this means is that if you get a melee kill with your shoulder charged, like let's say into a Wave of Thrall, you get back your melee instantly. Also, on top of that, it provides energy for your grenades if you use it with Top Tree Striker, so you would have 2 grenade charges for that, and then once you hit your melee, you will then get back energy for those grenades, and then just repeat the process. So you go grenade, shoulder charge a wave of enemies, get more grenade energy, and then rinse repeat like that. It's not exactly a guaranteed cycle, but it used to be one of the best strats for Titans in the game way back in the day. Next up is SYNTHOCEPS. I don't think I need to talk about this much. This exotic is still used in the game today, and is part of the incredibly ridiculous unkillable build for Solar Titans right now. SYNTHOCEPS could be used with Arc Titan melees going in the future, depending what they do with things like Death from Above on Middle Tree. For those of you that don't know, it increases the melee range and then improves melee and super damage when you're surrounded, so it's kind of like a mini Roaring Flame stack from Solar Titans, except you can reach like 3 continents forward with your melee, which could be annoying sometimes, to be completely honest, but it's definitely one of the best exotics. It's generic, but you can use this in Arc 3.0 going forward if they make Death from Above good, or change Shoulder Charge in some way or fashion. Then we have Heart of Inmost Light, another kind of generic exotic to talk about, not specific to 3.0 Arc, but it could be used going forward. So using your abilities, whether it's Grenade, Melee, or Barricade, empowers the other 2 abilities. So ideally, you'd go Barricade first, and then you'd have an Empower Grenade and or Melee to use off of that. Empowered means abilities have faster regen, melees and grenades do more damage, and barricades have more hit points. This is kind of just like cycle your abilities the video game in an exotic. It could be helpful depending if they give, like, let's say a strong projectile melee for Arc Titans. I doubt that's going to happen, but you never know. You know, maybe they'll give them an Arc Hammer for all we know, and it'll be a Bonk Hammer all over again. But Heart of Inmost Light has creeped up in the meta game quite a few times, as recent as soloing Atheon a couple seasons back. So it's definitely worth keeping if you have one, or go farm one out before Arc 3.0 arrives. Alright, the final exotic we're going to be talking about is Eternal Warrior. Gain an Overshield while activating Fist of Havoc. Alright, all jokes aside though, I feel like this is a prime candidate for Bungie to just straight up change the exotic and make it do something worthwhile other than give me Overshield when I press the panic button. And also, I don't know, just the mask is funny. The face is just hilarious to look at. I'm hoping they change this to something worthwhile. Doesn't have to even imply anything with the super. Maybe they'll change it to something like extend the duration of, I don't know, lightning grenades to do double damage or something along those lines. Who knows? Just change it to do something in the game that isn't useless as gain an overshield when you pop your super. Barricades give overshields these days. So this deserves an overhaul, in my opinion, and it's just like a kind of a sleeper pick for Titans. And that's pretty much it for exotics I'd recommend you try out and or save. I'm not saying these are all going to pan out and be great. You never know. I don't work for Bungie. I'm just letting you know, maybe you might have a sleeper in your vault that you think is garbage right now, but might be good in the future. And that's it for exotics. Like I said, I will cover weapons and mods in a separate video, just to not make these things 4 hours long. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think these are good saves? Do you think I missed something? Do you think most of these are going to be trash? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Also, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. It does help the channel. Also, stream daily on Twitch, twitch.tv/SneakyBeaver. All that stuff, description, links below. Check it out. I'm leaving now. Goodbye.